All right, so I wanted to wrap up the semester in this last video. It should be the last video I post. And I started thinking about anything that I missed. So I think the first thing is that video I posted today about, part two is Manduka. I forgot to mention that, what else you would have done in that day. So you would have collected your last weight, you would have done that handout, you would have maybe started calculating the average or the daily growth rate, right? And worked on those. But you also would have given me your three worms. I would have made sure there's three. Last semester, I had a worm that disappeared on us and was like crawling around in the lab. So I would make sure, you were in charge of each worm. So I would have made sure you gave me three each. And then I would have disposed them into a compost where they'll live until they turn into moth form, right? Into the next stage of life. And then they probably would have made seen their maker, or it's it ended their life cycle, as I'd like to say, in that compost. And then you guys would have cleaned out your containers with dish soap in the sinks, and then you would have sprayed them down with ethanol and then put them away and make sure everything's all clean. Get rid of your gloves inside the biohazard bin. And the reason I'm mentioning these last steps is because that's still part of your methodology, right? So your methodology starts with step one, defining your components, step two, your aseptic technique, and then the next kind of things that are listed in the protocol. But the last step is the cleanup, right? And it's the turning in those mandukas to the compost, and then also to clean up your area, right? So that's still part of your methodology. You still should write about that inside your lab reports. I think that's all I missed in those last two videos. I did say that your lab report was due on the 30th. Right now I have it, I double checked that, and I think I have it now on the syllabus due on the 27th. Uh, what I'm gonna do instead, guys, is I'm just gonna push everything to be due on the 30th. So you're more than welcome to turn it in early. You get points for turning it early, but you have to have that lab report due. You have to have it all in by the 30th. That's the last day of April. Um, let's see here. Turn in that lab report on the 30th. Let's turn in the presentation project on the 30th, and let's turn in the final exam by the 30th. So let's go over the presentation project really fast. And that project should be either a video or a paper on any of the labs that were done this last semester, any of them that called your attention. I know a lot of them were done virtually, right? But don't make it the bacteria and don't make it the Manduka, because you're already writing a report on that. Um, unless you're doing the video. If you're doing a video, then yeah, you can talk about it. But if I get another report on the Manduka when you've already written a lab report on it, that's a little excessive. So, or you might just be tempted to copy and paste. So I'm not going to allow for that. Make sure you choose, if you go with the report option, make sure you choose one that that you haven't wrote a report on. And really what I'm looking for, I'm not looking for this 10-page report or 5-page report. I'm really looking for what was the main concept of that lab. So was it learning a t-test? Well, that's a bad example because that was the bacteria. But let's see here. Let's look at the fungi one, for example. What was the main point? It was to learn the structures of the fungi. It was to learn how to use that microscope correctly, different parts of the microscope. Um, it was to think of different characteristics of fungi, anything like that. Refer to your lab manual, try to remember what we did that day, try to remember what the in-class assignment was, or the homework assignments. That should help you. And that's what's gonna be the 100 points for your presentation project. And we'll have it again due on the 30th. And you can do this, I believe I said you can do it in groups or individually as well. So just be aware of that. those presentation points are 100 points, so it's just as equal as, or it's just as hefty as one of the lab reports. So, make sure you do your best with it. And let's see here. But, I won't be too strict on them. I will say this, I would have been a lot stricter if we were in class and you guys were doing the presentations. I usually have a list of questions that I know I would, if you guys hadn't like touched up on, I would have asked you, if you guys gave me the presentation on the Manduka and you never mentioned why Mandukas were a good model, I would have, when you're done with the presentation said, like, any questions? I would have opened it to the floor. No one asked any questions. I usually drill you guys with a couple questions to make sure you know how to answer questions as if it's a real presentation. So unfortunately, we can't do that. So just try your very best and don't be too stressed about it with your grade, right? And then let's see here. The final exam. So we'll have the final exam due on the 30th, but I realized that maybe I don't want there to be an incident where you don't have internet on the 30th or you don't have internet on the 29th or anything like that. So I'm going to actually open it up on, let's see here, on the 26th, which is the Sunday. There's going to be a lot of open-ended questions again. That's just kind of my style. So I'll open it on the 26th. You can print it out. You can do whatever you need. And then you'll have the 30th to work on it. So make sure you don't wait till the 30th because it will probably take you a good amount of time because they are going to be open-ended questions. The questions will touch up on every single lab, mainly about what were the main concepts you learned, anything along that line. I might brush up on a few past quizzes, any of those questions. So I know there's still the study guides of the quizzes that we did in class, right? And you should still probably have the quizzes that were done via Blackboard. You should still have the option to get into those. If not, I did last semester make a study guide, but I'm really hesitant on it this semester since it is open book. I'll give you plenty of time to do it, 26th to the 30th to do it. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it like that and just try your very best with it. And I think that'll be everything. On the last note, I kind of want to do this just because of everything that happened this semester with the coronavirus and maybe you're worried about your grade or anything like that, and you really shouldn't be. You should not drop out. I hear a lot about talk about like getting an S grade or a U grade, which has its benefits because it doesn't reflect your GPA, but it also has its cons, right? Because if this is an A, if you get an A in a class, that helps your GPA, right? So I don't want to give any S's or U's or anything like that. And but at the same time, sorry, I don't want you guys too worried, right? I'm not promising that everyone is all good, right? If you're really worried about it, go ahead and shoot me an email and I'll get back to you. I'm sorry if I hadn't got back to you last week. I was dealing with a family issue. But if you're worried about your grade, go ahead and sincerely email me and I'll try to get you your latest updated grade as soon as I can. But for the most part, y'all are doing great. And more than that, if you're really scared about it, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to open on Blackboard an option that says other. And if you're missing anything like a homework in the past or an in-class assignment from the past, and that due date already passed or whatever, you can make up one of the assignments and you can upload it there. So that should also help your grade. Let's say that you just missed the fungi assignment, you never did that homework or you never did that assignment, you should still be able to upload it there. If you're missing way more than one, email me as soon as possible. We're gonna have to figure out some kind of partial credit or something like that. So there are options. Don't drop out, but also don't be too stressed about your grade. And I'll get you those grades as soon as possible. And let me know if you guys have any other questions. That kind of wraps up this semester. The only thing other than these last kind of assignments are an evaluation, right? You usually get an email to do an evaluation of your TA or your professor. My boss always really likes it when you guys do these, so please kind of consider them mandatory for this course. Usually I would pass them out, and you guys would fill them out, so I'm not sure. There should be a virtual one this semester, so be aware of that. If you guys can fill out those evaluations, I'd greatly appreciate them. And yeah, thank you for your patience, and I hope to see you guys around next semester. And email me if you guys have any questions. All right, bye.